Have you ever wondered what life still has in store? After 60? Is there still time to start over, to love, to dream, to rewrite your own story? In this video, you'll hear real-life stories of men and women who discovered something powerful. With the passing years, life doesn't end as we age. It just changes its rhythm. And in this new tempo, the greatest lessons of wisdom, resilience, and freedom are born. If you feel like the world is moving too fast, that the days seem repetitive, or that you've already lived all there is to live, this video is for you. Get ready to be moved, inspired, and maybe even see yourself in each story. Because after 60, there's still time to live the best chapter of your life. Maria's story, 65, Lisbon, Portugal. For 40 years, Maria lived among spreadsheets, reports, and meetings. She worked as an administrative assistant in a government office in Lisbon. She was efficient, punctual, respected, but deep down, she felt there was more inside her that had never been heard. When retirement came, the first few days felt like vacation, sleeping in, enjoying leisurely coffee, strolling without a schedule. But as the weeks passed, the silence of her home began to scream. Time, once scarce, now stretched endlessly. And with it came an unsettling question: who am I without my job? Maria went through tough days. She felt invisible, as if life had drawn its curtains. But while cleaning out an old closet, she found a set of gouache paints forgotten since her teenage years. She picked up the brushes almost without thinking, spread newspapers over the kitchen table, and painted. The first canvas was clumsy, but there was emotion in the strokes, a kind of truth she couldn't explain. In the days that followed, she bought better paints, a small easel, and painted daily in silence, listening to classical music. Time regained meaning. Her heart beat, with purpose again. A year later, her daughter posted some of her work online. To Maria's surprise, praise poured in. Then came invitations and eventually her first exhibition at a local cultural center. There, she heard words she'd never forget. "Maria, your colors speak for you." Today, at 65, she considers herself an artist. Not a celebrity, not a professional, but a woman who discovered late what made her feel alive. She doesn't paint to sell. She paints to listen to herself, to heal, to rediscover. Retirement isn't the end, she says. It's just the start of a new chance. We spend our whole lives working so we can finally live. And living, I've learned, is allowing yourself to do what once seemed too small to deserve attention. And maybe that's the secret hidden in aging. The freedom to finally be who you are, without hurry, without fear, without excuses. Mr. Antonio's story, 67, Paris, France. At 67, many expect life to slow down, for days to be calm, activities light, and dreams left behind. But Mr. Antonio never quite agreed with that idea. In his youth, he had to drop out in his second year of high school. Helping his father on the farm was urgent. Over time came marriage, children, bills, and hard work, and the book stayed closed, like an unfinished chapter of life. Decades later, sitting on his porch in Recife, watching his grandson do homework, a quiet question arose. What if I still could? At first it was just a timid thought, but the desire grew. He went to the nearest school and asked a little awkwardly, "Is it too late to enroll?" The secretary's surprised look quickly turned into a warm smile. And just like that, Mr. Antonio became the oldest student in class. The first few days he felt ashamed. His hands shook holding a pen. Writing was slow, difficult, but he didn't give up. He arrived early, asked questions humbly, and always said, "I'm in no rush, I just want to learn." Little by little, he became an inspiration. Younger classmates began asking for life advice, and in return, he asked for help with math. The exchange was beautiful. No one there thirsted for knowledge more than he did. With time came tests, assignments, and praise. Then one day, with teary eyes, Mr. Antonio received his high school diploma. "I waited 50 years for this piece of paper, and every day was worth it," he said, emotional. Today, he hasn't stopped. He's studying to take college entrance exams for history. He wants to better understand the world he's lived in, and leave a legacy for his grandchildren. Because, as he puts it, learning is like planting a tree. It's never too late, and it's always worth it. Mr. Antonio proved that age doesn't limit the mind or dreams. Time, when met with will, becomes an ally, and education is a window that can be opened in any season of life. Ms. Celia's story, 73, New York, USA. Ms. Celia always believed in love, but life sometimes writes unexpected chapters. She married young, raised 3 children, was widowed at 59, and since then, learned to walk alone. For years, she told herself she'd already lived all there was to live in that regard. That love, beautiful as it was, belonged to the past. Her heart was too busy with her grandchildren, her embroidery, the quiet life she'd built. But fate, that old storyteller of surprises, had other plans. It was an ordinary afternoon in a pharmacy line when she met Enrique, also widowed, equally measured with his words, his gaze serene with the wisdom of someone who'd faced pain and learned to cherish simple encounters. They exchanged brief words, shared a shy laugh, and days later bumped into each other at the same bakery. Or maybe it wasn't coincidence, the universe has its quiet way of crossing paths. They began meeting more often, short walks in the park, long coffees, conversations about old songs. What seemed like friendship slowly bloomed. No rush, no games, just sincerity. At first, Ms. Celia hesitated. She feared her children's judgment, the neighbors, even her own. But Enrique, with patience and respect, showed her love has no expiration date, that tenderness, presence, and companionship are blessings unbound by age. At 73, Celia fell in love again. With life, with someone, with herself. She rediscovered the joy of holding hands, waiting for a phone call, sharing silence with someone who understands. "I never imagined my heart still had so much to give," she says. "But I've learned love doesn't end. It transforms, matures, and when it's real, it blooms anew." Today, Celia and Enrique travel together, attend senior dances, and every Tuesday play dominoes with the grandkids. They didn't marry. They need no formalities. They simply chose to share the time they have left, with lightness, laughter, and affection. Because loving after 70 isn't strange. It's a gift. And sometimes, it's even more beautiful. Lived with calm, awareness, and deep gratitude for all that's past, and all that may still come. Mr. Djalma's story, 76, Porto Alegre, Brazil. Loneliness has a sound that's hard to describe. Sometimes it's the deafening silence of an empty house. Other times it's the absence of a good morning, the echo of a cup placed on the table for one. Mr. Djalma felt this deeply after his children moved away and his wife passed. Routine turned gray, days blurred together, and he began to wonder, is this all that's left for me? The TV kept him company but didn't talk back. Neighbors rushed past, even surrounded by people Djalma felt invisible. That hurt more than any back pain. It was his daughter's insistence that finally got him to visit a community center. At first he went reluctantly, sat in the back, observing. Didn't want to dance or chat, just wanted an hour outside the house. But in that simple space between bingo rounds and old songs, he noticed something powerful. Others like him. People who'd also felt the void, who weren't just killing time, they were seeking belonging. With time, he opened up, discovered a knack for telling jokes, became a regular in the small library, and started teaching checkers to newcomers. It's not that loneliness vanished, he says, but now it doesn't rule me. Today, I choose who shares my silence. Mr. Djalma didn't change overnight, but in simple companionship, he found a new reason to get up, get dressed, and step out. The loneliness that once weighed him down is now just an occasional visitor, and he's learned not to let it in uninvited. Because deep down, no one, should face life alone. Sometimes it starts with a sincere hello, a welcoming glance, or simply showing up. And step by step, loneliness loses ground, and the heart finds peace again. Ms. Lords' story, 62, London, UK. The diagnosis hit like thunder on a calm day. Ms. Lords, 62, had gone to the doctor for routine tests. She felt nothing unusual, just tiredness, which she blamed on age. But hearing the words breast cancer froze her world. Fear came first, then silence. At home, she pretended nothing was wrong, kept cleaning, caring for her grandkids and dogs. But inside, she was groping in the dark. Hard days followed. Her mind grew heavier than her body. The uncertainty of treatment, the ache of an unguaranteed future, her children's attempts to stay strong, it all crushed her slowly. Then one Sunday, while tending her small garden, a flower caught her eye. It had bloomed alone between rocks in a forgotten corner. The image stirred her. If that flower could thrive there, why can't I fight here? She thought. So, she chose to fight. With grit, faith, tears, and strength. She braved treatment despite the side effects. Lost her hair but kept her smile. The first time she saw herself wigless in the mirror, she said aloud, "I'm still here." And that's what matters. During treatment, Lords met other women in the same battle. They formed a support group, sharing fears, recipes, hugs. Between exams and chemo sessions, a sisterhood was born, one no illness could destroy. Months later, good news came. The treatment worked, and Ms. Lords, who once feared tomorrow, began dreaming of it again. Today, she speaks at churches and community centers, tells her story with calm and hope, shows before and after photos, and says firmly, "The disease tried to stop me, but it only taught me to truly live." Because life doesn't end with a diagnosis. Often, that's where it begins anew. Ms. Helena's story, 68, Tokyo, Japan. Losing a child is a pain too vast to contain. Ms. Helena knows this well. When her only son died in an accident, she felt as if the world had collapsed around her. The days that followed were a thick fog. Tears blended with the silence of her empty home. Often Helena wondered if she could go on, but slowly she realized even this unbearable pain could be transformed. That her son would have wanted more than grief. He'd have wanted life to continue, with purpose. So she created a support group for mothers who'd also lost children. There, she offered a safe space to share tears, memories, and above all, hope. When you lose someone you love, it's as if the light goes out, she says. But together we can light many candles. Each one helps illuminate the path for others. Over time, the group grew into a community of strength and love. Helena understood her mission wasn't just healing herself, but helping other women see that even in darkness, a path to light exists. Today, Ms. Helena is a beacon in her city. Her words inspire courage and faith. She proves that even after the greatest loss, meaning can be found and lives rebuilt. Because love that's no longer seen can still live on, in every act of kindness, every tight embrace, every story shared. Mr. Joachim's story, 72, Rome, Italy. To many, technology seems like foreign territory, reserved for the young. But for Mr. Joachim, learning to use a smartphone at 70 became a personal revolution. He'd always been curious but held back by fear. What if I break it? What if I fail? Echoed in his mind. When his grandson visited with a tablet and a promise to teach, the first attempts were clumsy, shaky fingers, confusing screens. Patience stretched thin. But Mr. Joachim persisted. Slowly, he mastered texts, video calls, even downloading songs to listen to on neighborhood walks. Learning made me feel alive again. He grins. It's like the world reopened, proving it's never too late to reinvent yourself. Now, he's in WhatsApp groups with friends, shares photos of his grandkids, and takes online history classes, his favorite subject. Technology didn't just connect him, it restored his confidence. Age, he learned, is no barrier to growth. Mr. Joachim proves that with willingness and a little help, The later years can brim with discovery. Ms. Carmen's story, 68, Beijing, China. Traveling alone might daunt anyone, let alone someone over 60. For Ms. Carmen, it became a life-changing challenge. A widow for years, she'd always postponed dreams, prioritizing others. But on her birthday, she gifted herself a solo trip to a city she'd longed to see. With her suitcase packed, she stepped into the unknown. Insecurity struck at first. What if I get lost? But with each step, courage grew. She met strangers, learned to trust herself, and rediscovered the joy of freedom. Wandering streets, she felt ownership of her time. No rush, no obligations. Traveling alone showed me life still has so much to give, she says, moved. Age doesn't matter, only the desire to live fully. That trip wasn't just a getaway, it was a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Ms. Carmen returned renewed with stories to tell and plans for her next adventure. And she's not alone. More and more seniors are realizing it's never too late to explore the world, broaden horizons, and create new memories. Ms. Lucia's story, 70, Dubai, UAE. Retirement left Ms. Lucia with mixed feelings, relief and emptiness. After decades as a teacher, she found herself with ample free time but an unsettling void, as if something vital were missing. Days once filled with lessons, meetings, and lesson plans grew quiet and monotonous. Mornings stretched too long, and her sense of purpose began slipping away. Then, during a park walk, she stumbled upon volunteers collecting donations for an orphanage. Curious, Ms. Lucia stopped to chat and felt something awaken within her. That moment was like a revelation, she recalls. I realized retirement didn't mean I had nothing left to give. She joined them. At first, her tasks were simple, sorting toys, distributing food, listening to children's stories. But soon, she understood she was doing far more. By giving her time, warmth, and wisdom, Ms. Lucia found new meaning. The children's smiles and tales renewed her hope with every visit. Helping others is also a gift we give ourselves, she says, moved. Volunteering gave me back my purpose, proof my life still matters. The group became her second family, a space for friendship, laughter, and belonging. Now she encourages other seniors to embrace causes that stir their hearts, showing it's never too late to change lives, including their own. Because true wisdom isn't just in years lived, but in living meaningfully, leaving a legacy of love. Mr. Antonio's story, 74, Moscow, Russia. Mr. Antonio had always been a hard worker, accustomed to hectic days and heavy responsibilities. At 74, retired and unmoored, he faced a silence that felt unsettling at first. Frenzied routines gave way to slow mornings where sunlight through the window seemed almost foreign. Initially, he missed the rush, the duties, the daily purpose. But in this new rhythm, Mr. Antonio began noticing beauty in simplicity. A bird's song, rain-soaked, earth-wind rustling leaves. Happiness isn't in grand achievements or possessions, he shares with a quiet smile. It's in tiny moments we often overlook. He tended his garden, growing flowers and vegetables. Sunset watching on the porch became sacred. He even began writing, rediscovering a long-forgotten love for literature. For Mr. Antonio, this was transformation. Simplicity wasn't boredom. It was a gateway to peace and self-discovery. He now cherishes connections more. Coffee with friends, chats with grandchildren, unexpected visits. Each small gesture fuels his gratitude. This journey brought him not just joy, but wholeness he hopes to share with others who feel time has stolen their happiness. Because true wisdom is savoring each moment, with presence, love, and gratitude for what truly matters. Ms. Rosa and Ms. Cecilia's story, 69 and 71, Cairo, Egypt. When retirement came, Ms. Rosa and Ms. Cecilia realized free time often arrived. With loneliness, their social circles had shrunk, leaving few to share daily life with. So they joined a senior social club together, a space for conversation, activities, and most importantly, new friendships. I thought aging meant isolation, says Ms. Rosa. But friendship can bloom at any age. Meeting Cecilia was a daily joy. They went on outings, took dance classes, joined discussion groups, even collaborated on community projects. Every gathering was a chance to laugh, support, and grow. Miss Cecilia admits their bond rebuilt her confidence. Sharing life's small moments, challenges, and triumphs makes everything lighter. Beyond companionship, they found emotional anchor. In tough times, one was always there to listen, comfort, and uplift the other. In our later years, nurturing friendships is soul care, they say in unison. These ties also keep minds sharp and bodies active, boosting health in countless ways. Ms. Rosa and Miss Cecilia prove it's never too late for bonds that color life with love and hope. And that friendship's power remains life's greatest treasure, especially when it lights up our days and warms our hearts. Mr. Paulo's story, 73 Mexico City, Mexico. For many, aging brings not just physical challenges but silent emotional and mental struggles that often go unacknowledged. At 73, Mr. Paulo faced depression and anxiety after losing his wife of over 50 years. An immense void filled his days, draining color from life and stealing motivation for activities he once loved. Isolation crept in, distancing him from friends and family. "I thought I had to be strong all the time. That sadness didn't suit me," he admits, "but I was lying to myself, only hurting deeper." Then a close friend suggested professional help and senior support groups. Though daunting at first, Mr. Paulo took the leap and found warmth, understanding, and a safe space to voice his pain. He learned meditation, breathing exercises, and mindfulness to calm his anxious mind. More importantly, he met others walking similar paths, easing his loneliness. Mental health matters as much as physical health, he emphasizes. We don't have to face this alone. Today, Mr. Paulo advocates for mental health awareness among seniors, urging open conversations about emotions. He believes embracing vulnerability is key to living fully. His story reminds us that aging well isn't just about staying active. It's tending to our inner world with the same care we give our bodies. Because true wisdom lies in recognizing our limits, seeking support, and nurturing joy through every season of life. The legacy of wisdom and the power of resilience. These stories we've shared today are more than accounts. They're testaments to courage, resilience, and transformation. Ordinary people proving that life after 60, 70, even 80 can still overflow with purpose, joy, and achievement. Maria, Ms. Carmen, Ms. Lucia, Mr. Antonio, Ms. Rosa, Mr. Paulo. Each teaches us that aging doesn't mean abandoning dreams, but rediscovering, reinventing, and continuing to grow. The golden years are a rebirth, where lived experience becomes the foundation for richer, more meaningful days. And you, watching now, might see your own journey anew, through eyes bright with hope and determination. If these stories moved you, join the conversation. Share this video, especially with those who need its message. Comment below which story resonated most and why. Your voice matters, and together we can build a community of wisdom and support. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more content celebrating life's later chapters. Because age is just a number, but the will to live, learn, and love, that's timeless. Thank you for being here. Until next time, more inspiring stories await.